Once again, thank you everyone for your contributions you made today. For those who have given a testimonial, word of encouragement, we'll move straight into the presentation for today. We'll then invite Dr. Daniel Oladiran to give his presentation, and he's a senior lecturer and teaching the MBA program at Ravensbourne University. He also is very passionate about leadership. It's about leadership strategies, and he also runs a consulting outfit as well, where he provides consultancy services to businesses on how to develop different aspects of the business and leadership and manpower development. So, um, Daniel, can we have you? The floor is yours.
Thank you, John. Um, I'm quite happy to be here today. Most importantly, because every time I'm privileged to join the meeting, Like Minds meeting, the testimonials are quite outstanding, and it reveals the impact you and the team have been making on people's lives, and that makes a massive difference. And yeah, we can't take that for granted. I will continue to extend our gratitude for that. Like John has said, I'm Dr. Daniel Oladran. I'm going to share my screen now, and so that you are able to see my slide. Just bear with me. Let me know if you are able to see my screen. Just a moment. All right. Mr. John, if you maybe I can send a slide to you so you can help with that, if you don't
Okay,
mind.
fine. If you're on the chat, just look at the share. There's a share button there. So
Yeah,
if you click on the share button, if your slide opened already, click on the
it
share
is.
button.
Yeah, my system setting is restricting me.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, yeah, just a moment.
Let's see.
So I can put in the chat. You can help with that.
Okay, let's see.
Just bear with me a moment. Okay.
Do you want
Whilst
to you want to share with me? Share with me on WhatsApp, or I can give you my email address.
okay,
Let me
better
see.
still.
Let me send you my email address to your phone now.
Thank you.
I can pick it up from here. Send to this one. I can pick it up, then I can share the screen if you need to.
Okay.
Yeah, strange that a system is restricting you though. Should be
Uh,
quite
you okay, yeah. Just you get it just in a few minutes.
okay. Recording.
Okay. Leadership style um, as Black professionals. Now, to start with, I would like to ask, um, are there people in this chat room or in this call that are not part or that are not Black professionals? You don't belong to these demography. Do we have people that are not Black professionals in this room? Okay, I'll take that as a no. So I've got the right audience. Um, because time has been fast spent, I wouldn't take much of your time. If I can do this in 30 minutes, I'll be glad. The goal for me today is actually to provoke everyone in the room as to what to do next, regardless of where you are in terms of your career, regardless if you're early career, if you're still job seeking, or if you're a seasoned professional with years of experience, regardless of where you are in your career, this is quite evidently relevant. So, part of the things we'll be covering today, let's move on. I'll be sharing some insight in terms of data with you to understand, as Black professionals, to understand where we sit in the corporate world in the United Kingdom, and most importantly, how we can navigate our ways beyond that. And this cut across different industries. My insight is based on not only my, of course, not only my personal experience, but also from other people's experience, from clients that I've worked with in terms of their experience at their workplace, even entrepreneurs, Black entrepreneurs, the challenges they're facing, and how that the leadership dynamics, there's something missing in that regard. So, John, if you can help move on to the next slide. We'll cover what this means. Evidence-based leadership. What does it mean? How can we apply it? We ask a few questions. I'm sure by the end of the session, you might have some questions. But beyond the questions, it's important that you also share your experience. This is how we all learn. So the next slide. I have a question for us all, and I would appreciate if you can drop the responses in the chat as to how you lead at the moment. Now, when I talk about how you lead in this context, our mind quickly run towards how we lead at our workplace. Oh, of course, that's important. How you lead at your workplace, please. You can put that in the chat as well, if that's your context you want to explore. But even if you don't yet have a job at hand at the moment, probably you lead at your probably a charity center, probably you lead at different organization, maybe even in your home or your sibling, whatever context it might be. I would like you to put in the chat how you lead. I can see John says by example. Okay, that's important. Um, There are options here as well. Some would say they act on gut more than data. Some would say they collect evidence, but not always sit strategically. Some say they build on evidence approach deliberately. Let's see other responses. Anabi, by example. All right. Quite interesting. Okay. Let's move on to the next slide. This is where I want you to see what evidence-based leadership really means. Uh, Essentially, it's making decisions based on existing data in terms of how you even lead your own life. Some will say, oh, Sunday Odumosu says, lead with evidence and strategically apply it. Okay, bringing team spirit into leadership. Great. Thanks for sharing that. But when we talk about evidence-based leadership, it's how you lead. And when you say leadership, what comes to mind more often than not is that people think about leading a group of people. Actually, that's important, but that comes secondary. The first point of call for leadership is actually self leadership. So I'll start by saying that how do you lead based on evidence? In other words, data, existing data. When I say existing data, please don't get it so complex. Your experience are also in itself bags of data. So as an individual, in terms of how you lead yourself, then how you lead at work, it's important that you exercise some kind of reflection as to, okay, what how do I really lead, based on my experience over the years in different contexts, again, not only in the workspace but in different contexts, and this will inform how you lead as an individual. Many things have been taught us about leadership. In fact, the things, if I should ask us, what what do you think? How do you get to know about the leadership style that you know about? Most importantly, it could be by the books you've read, it could be by the things you've heard, it could be by some seminars as well, and it could be by your religious beliefs. Certain things have actually formulated the kind of leadership that we tend to lean towards or believe, or that we tend to exhibit. And more often than not, usually we neglect what our own experiences, what our dynamics, what our individuals' distinction, what our own paradigm actually dictates, in order to see the trajectory and pick data from our own experience to identify how we lead. And this affects even how we do interviews, because we want to interview for jobs and we try to fit into certain mode and try to wear a hat that we are not. And at times the interviewer can see it. We're not being true to ourselves. They can see through it. I've been on interview panel many times. I can see that this person, actually, what should be an advantage to them, what they should wear, they're trying to adopt something else that is not theirs, and you can accurately see into it. A lot of leadership challenge we have, even with our team at workplace, we're trying to adopt some kind of leadership that probably we read about. Oh, adaptive leadership. Oh, we say I'm an exemplary leadership. What does it mean to you as a person, and how does it relate to your own experience in terms of, again, the data you can pick from your own experience? So this is what I mean by the concept of evidence-based leadership. Let's move further, please. Now, why this matters at the moment, it's quite interesting to see this data, and it's not to make us feel bad about what's going on in terms of our demography. It's, again, like I said, it's to provoke us and to begin to own our identity, in terms of how we then carry ourselves forward in leadership. Where we are at the moment, again, I would like to say, when I talk about leadership, I don't necessarily mean that you have to be a director or you have to lead a team of 50, 30. No, 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 no. Wherever stage you are at the moment in terms of your career, there is a degree of leadership that you can exercise, because leadership essentially is about influence. And many people actually influence their line manager, not the other way around. So if leadership is influence, you're leading in that regard. So you can see the statistics. Now, just 1%, 1.5% of Black professionals hold top management roles. 0.1 per person can be seen in senior representation. 0.1% in the last 10 years. In fact, well, this statistics was as at 2024. So in the last, since 2014 to 2024, just 0.1% senior management representation. I can as well just ask a lot of us sitting in this meeting today to tell me the demography of the leadership in your space of work or at your organization. You can see 81% of Black workers experience harassment, and we don't even bother to report it. Uh, 23% engage in sponsorship at workplace, just 23% beyond mentorship. We will still see that later on in the slide. And this one is quite jaw-dropping. Now, Black African firms are 4 times more likely to be refused loan despite being among the most motivated founders. In the room here now, if we're to take the statistics as well, you'll discover that a lot of people here might have a business they're running on the side and all of that. So the drive is there, the motivation is there, but the access to the opportunities are quite low. And this is why evidence-based leadership matters now. Let's move on, please. Okay, so how can we then leverage this leadership style to our own career, whether you're a business owner or whether you're a professional, regardless of where you are at the moment? How can we leverage this leadership? And it's important that you, as an individual, track your impact. It is important that you track what you do. It is important that you grant yourself the visibility required of you. And you're not doing anyone that favor but yourself. And that is one aspect. I've seen a lot of these with the different clients I've been able to relate with, even in the organization. I see how that a lot of our people think, I don't know whether it's a religious bias or whether it's a cultural nuance, how that granting ourselves the credit due us is not something we do. Meanwhile, it's not pride, especially when you find yourself in the working environment we find ourselves here in the West. So it's important you track your own impact. In fact, you will discover that if you want to change role at times, a lot of people struggle when they want to change role. They struggle with even curating their CV in terms of how they can even some transferable skills. They don't know how to convert that. Why? Because they don't track their own impact over time. The problems they've solved, no matter how little. It should not only live in our memory, anyways. There's this Chinese proverb that says the sharpest pen is actually sharper than the brightest memory. So let's take note of the things we do in our organizations. Again, build a personal evidence file. This is how you showcase your own expertise, leveraging on evidence-based leadership style. Have a running document of your wins beyond your CV, beyond your resume, beyond any cover letter. In fact, it makes cover letter easier for you. Right now, in your current role, right now, beyond even your current role, learn to have a running document of your wins at work on a weekly basis. At the end of the week, think on how the week has transpired and then document. Again, document feedbacks, ask for feedbacks, especially from people. This is quite critical when you're talking about feedback. It's important that you ask feedback, of course, from people that you trust, but not only from familiar voices. So, because it's important that you hear critical feedback as well, it opens up your blind spot. Measure your outcomes and update these on a monthly basis. If you get to do this over a space of 6 months, I can guarantee you it's easier for you to change roles. It's easier for you to even for your promotion if you need to go further in your organization because you have evidence to back it up. Even in interviews, it's easier for you to speak confidently because you've documented these things yourself and you're reviewing over the period. Again, you are required leveraging evidence-based leadership meets the higher threshold proactively. So What this means simply, it's quite similar to what I said earlier on, how that I don't know about your own experience, but the experience of many people that I've talked with, a lot of people from our background, is that a lot is demanded of us when it comes to getting the role that others would easily get. At times, we need to work twice as hard, maybe not twice as hard, maybe even more. At times, we need to produce more evidence as to why we qualify for the role we want to apply for. The bar is just subconsciously raised higher for us. Hence, it is important that we document these things visibly. And that's why many leverage platforms like LinkedIn to document our wins, to document our threshold, to document our milestones. Very importantly, and there's a way to use LinkedIn strategically as well beyond jump hunt. Maybe not in this meeting. We'll discuss that some other time. Again, human insight. So uh, this is how you frame your own record as data rather than self-promotion. Now, especially like I said earlier on, for some people that have that cannot differentiate between visibility and self-promotion, at least you can obviously use the data you've been able to put together in your work life, in your role part time on a monthly basis. When you can see the data, you can relate to it. Is what you've done. If you put that out there, it makes you feel better, anyways, that it's not self promotion. But it's important that we document our wins. For instance, today is Friday. I challenge you. Maybe later tonight, you might be tired. Maybe tomorrow morning. I challenge you to have maybe 30 minutes or even 20 minutes. Think through your week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and say, okay, so this week, what can I really say is a win for me at my work? What can I really say I've achieved this week? No matter how little, start compounding them. It will surprise you what you find out. Next slide, please. Okay. Well, I don't need to preach to the choir. It's important that you know the system you're navigating. A lot of us come from a background in Nigeria, and I mean, you don't need to be told that the terrain is quite different as to how things are done. So it's important that we know the system. But I want to take this further that beyond knowing the system, it's important you know the system in your own organization, the peculiarity of that system in your organization. Observe. Some people will say they don't like office politics. Whether you like it or not, there are politics happening left, right, and center. Okay. And even if you don't play the politics, you need to understand the politics in your workplace. I mean, we cannot, and this is why the topic is really close to my heart. As people, as black professionals, we cannot sit back and relax and say, "Oh, I can't. Well, I don't want to get involved." Get involved. And when I say get involved, I mean observe, see what works, see what doesn't in the organization you find yourself, and learn to play the game. I call it again game. Learn to play it. Be savvy. Be wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove. But what we usually do is that we tend to be gentle as a dove and just be on the ground, and we a lot of things we lose many opportunities as a result of this. So observe, how do people get promoted? What happens? What are the things that are being done? I'm not saying suck up to people, but I'm saying be strategic about it. Who get high visibility projects? Who present themselves forward? I mean, who this is the time we need to get out of our own comfort zone. This is how you collect data to enhance your own self-leadership and even the leadership within your own team. Who gets promoted? Analyze it and adopt it where required. Again, please, if you have any question, you can interject so that I don't just go on. If you have any question at any point, although there's still question and answer later on, but If there's anything you want to add, or you can just raise your hand and let you speak. Again, uh, identify informal power centers. Well, uh, there are definitely people within your organization, without doubt. There are people that hold sway. There are people that, just like the Pareto's principle, have that 20% control 80%. So there are people that are quite influential within your organization. And when I say that, I don't mean the C-suits. In fact, you might have colleagues that are quite influential. They can influence things within the team. They can influence teams within your department. They carry that weight. Funny enough, there are some of you here that you are that influential person within your team. It's important that you help others, people like us from a demography, to identify people like that. And if you are that person, it's important that you help, people like we pay that forward within our demography and help them to analyze, help people to see how they can leverage these power centers, these individuals. In terms of positioning ourselves strategically, that cannot be overemphasized. I've touched that earlier on as well. But we don't just do these things on assumptions. We do these things based on the evidences we gather and leverage that in our own journey, in our career, whether we're changing career, whether for promotion, whether even in job seeking, uh, regardless of the position we find ourselves. Okay. Let's move to the next slide, please, because of time. Ah, now this is quite important. John was talking earlier on about mentorship, how that even in like minds there are mentors, and it's important again that I re-emphasize the need for mentorship here in like minds. We need more people on board to help others to mentor them. However, when it comes to evidence-based leadership, leading our own career, or even leading our team, regardless, I would like to say that sponsorship is better than mentorship. And when I say that, I do not mean substitute mentorship for sponsorship. No, I'm saying in addition to mentorship, hard sponsorship. Find people that can sponsor you. Find people that have the political capital to to move things in your favor. Build relationship in that regard. Look, I have spoken to individuals and I can relate with them, even because based on my own personal experience as well. I've spoken to individuals, I've spoken to clients that uh, when they join an organization, maybe due to a background, they tend to cower, they tend to just stay within their own cocoon. They tend not to learn to build relationships, especially maybe even people from other demography. They tend to just remain in their own circle. And oh yeah, someone is asking, what do I mean by sponsorship? All right, let me expatiate on sponsorship. Uh, Sponsorship definitely is not visa sponsorship. It's when you have people, let's say power centers, I call power centers, or individuals that have influence in your organization. They might just be within your team. Some might even be your line manager. Lucky you if you have a good line manager. Some might be some leaders, some team leads or individuals within your team that actually hold sway, that have voice, that have influence. Now, what they do as sponsorship is that they champion you in rooms you are not. Sponsorship can help you. For instance, if there are sponsors in this room that, because of the framework of what sponsorship is about, what they do is that they help you, they tell you what to do and how to do what to do. They're not in your organization. Except some have some relationships of with an organization you're trying to apply to. There is a restriction to how much of where they can hold your ends and actually put you where you actually belong. That's where sponsorship comes into play. Sponsorship doesn't only grant you advice, some exposure in terms of your roles. They go further into actually creating opportunities for you, speaking up for you, championing you in rooms you're not. That's what sponsorship is about. And look, when it comes to sponsorship, again, I tell our brothers and sisters, as Black professionals, look beyond your demography. Look beyond your demography. Be open. Be open to people that are not like, that don't look like us. Be open to that and approach people, approach them. But you don't approach people out of the blue. And that's where building relationship comes into play, which I was talking about earlier on. How that some people join organizations, they don't build relationship, they are there for years, 3 years, 4 years. They don't make no friendship. They just, it's not ideal. It's not ideal. Again, you have to be, yeah, this is quite important. Explicit in your ask. Okay. Uh, These are things I'm sharing from again, from my own experience and also from experience of clients that I've dealt with and even people I've related with, I've spoken to. Um, at times we have a need. Probably we want to get a promotion, we want to get a better job, but we don't know. And I've seen this. It's not to our fault. Again, probably it's a background. We don't really know how to articulate what we need. At times we dance around the bush. We it's important that you are explicit in what you want from people. Oh, uh, even if it's mentorship, be articulate about what you want from that relationship, not the other way around. And it will surprise you, and I mean it. It will surprise you beyond our own demography. It will surprise you how much people are actually willing to help in that regard. Just be open. Ask directly. Of course, there are ways to ask these things. You don't just bros, give me no. There are ways you ask. Again, before you can also make demands or not, before you can make your ask, it's important that you also have something that your sponsor will be able to leverage. Okay, some sponsors are willing to help you regardless. It's not a give and take. They are willing out of the kindness of their heart. Some people it's beyond that. It's just strategic as well. It's they get benefit from you, and you also benefit from them in terms of your career. They need help with certain things. They can ask you. They can ask your help in that regard. Maybe your expertise in that field. They can have, and you must be also. And the problem I find with our people from our demography is that we don't know how to do that. Even when we know how to ask, we don't know how to position ourselves as to this is what I can offer. I'm asking this, but this is what I also can offer you in this regard, no matter how little. That willingness goes a long way. Sponsors need to uh, have something they can advocate for about you. You need to convince them to see that in you, your readiness, your ambition. What have you been able to show forth? Again, going back to how I'm saying, document your wins. Um, Talking about the human insight in this regard, sponsorship is a mutual relationship. It's a relationship of mutual trust. This is very important. Next slide, please, because of time. Um, okay. Now, I'd like to ask this question again. Please make use of the chat box. You can put your responses there. What strategy do you need most right now? Based on what we've discussed thus far in the last, yeah, 15 or 20 minutes, which strategy do you need most right now. Drop that in the chat. Even for job seekers, let's look at the industry you're getting into. There are ways actually you can know the system. If you have organization you're trying to apply to, understand that system. From earlier in the call today, some people we can see probably some people are looking to get into civil service. In that service space, how are you getting to know that system? In that particular department, even before you apply for the role, it helps in the interview as well. Are people making use of the chat? So, which strategy do you need most at the moment? Is it sponsorship? Is it data? Tracking your own impact? Is it knowing the system or finding, okay, a NEBI? Okay, sponsorship? Okay, understanding the environment. Thank you, Buku. Then Eden said, okay, consistency, pretty good worker. Okay, not consistent. Yeah, okay. Thank you. That gives an idea of where we're at. Next slide, please. I like to, okay. Now, it's important that as people, as Black professionals, that we, okay, knowing the system. Thank you, Claire. That we learn to build our own psychological safety from inside out. And what does this mean? Hmm. How can I put this to us without? Okay. Now, it means that we open ourselves up to vulnerability. So, what I mean by open ourselves to vulnerability simply is this: it's to help us build uh, our own leadership paradigm in terms of the challenges we actually experience at work. More often than not, when we experience challenge at work, especially again, uh, based on our demography, a lot of us are quite religious, and we go ahead and pray out or pray against those challenges. Let's say you have an individual at your workplace that is that is challenging your work or your delivery, and it might be genuinely so. It might actually be that your work is not up to par, and the next thing is that we take it in quote for those that are religious in prayer to pray against that person, that that person goes away, or that person something happens to them. Or meanwhile, those challenges in themselves can be to our own benefit to actually sharpen us, to actually build, yes, to build those things that that we really genuinely lack. A lot of us are not open to criticism, but whether positive criticism or negative, eventually there might be something in there for you to actually reflect if that can be right indeed. And it's important that we build that opportunity, that we build that resilience at our place of work. I see how people run away from this quite a lot. Again, it's important that we, I wouldn't say outrightly go and look for trouble, but invite challenge. Take on projects that might be daunting. Yes. When you take on such project, it doesn't mean you have to do it all by yourself. You can get people that are in your team, outside of your team on that project, but mind you, you are the one that is taking that challenge, that project that is daunting, you're leading on it. Should it be successful, it's part of your data, it's part of your visibility. Meanwhile, you're actually leveraging the expertise of others. Because of time, please let's move to the next slide. I think I would like to stop on this. There's still quite a few slides, but I really want to dwell on this one um, um, before we then go to question and answer. I want to beg as many of us, I want to believe a lot of people here are quite maybe Nigerians, Our root is from Nigeria. I mean, we might have other Africans in the room, and these might also be relevant. Please, your background is not, and I repeat it, is not a disadvantage. In fact, it is an asset. Our cross-cultural divide, our cross-cultural intelligence, our resilience under ambiguity, our multiple perspective to problem solving distinguish us as Black professionals. We need to wear this identity. We need to leverage it. This is our data. I see people, let me talk about this as well. We have people come into the country and probably, let's say, for instance, in Nigeria, let's say you work in investment banking or the country you're from, and then you get to the UK, you see that the system is quite different. And you are thinking that is a disadvantage to yourself. And then you think you need, I say this carefully, you think you need to unlearn the things you've learned and then find a way to fit in into the system. And after you even fit into the system, a lot of us dump that. But we shouldn't do that. We should carry that with us as part of who we are, as part of our badge, as part of our experience. Let me tell you this, a lot of people in the organization we work for, if you take note carefully in your own organization, look at how many people actually have experiences working across different countries or having the advantage that you have and still be able to thrive in the system here in the West that might even be more complex than where we are from. It is an advantage. And these are things we need to leverage. These are data we need to carry with us. These are evidences we need to strategically apply, whether in our own job search, whether to climb a career ladder, whether to change jobs, promotion, whatever it is. We need to always leverage this. I call this leadership crucible, our experiences. You need to use this research to make case internally. What this means is the diversity performance evidence when advocating for inclusive decisions. Now, a lot of the organization we work with are inclusion and diversity is just by mouth, not by experience. We are living experiences of that. And a lot of us are leaving a lot of things on the table in our organization as to how we can leverage the experience we've had. Some people have got 20 years experience in Nigeria. There's a way you can leverage that in inclusivity and diversity in the organization you currently are working in. And there's a way you can strategically present that to them that they'll see that as a huge advantage within that organization and not just make ourselves minority. 70% of Black professionals report their identity as hurt their careers. Evidence-based leadership reverts this. It says your identity is actually the source of your insight, okay, which your organization cannot generate from within its current homogeneous leadership. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier on, how that a lot of leadership style, a lot of leadership knowledge that we claim we have doesn't even fit into our cultural background that has formed us into who we are, which we then need to look introspectively as to who we are as individuals. How does that make us distinct? If you go ahead, because this is what I do, leadership research, leadership insight, evidence-based leadership, go ahead and look into research. You'll discover that a lot of gaps in terms of leadership are found in Black people's context because we've adapted the leadership styles that were curated in the context of the Western world. And now we're working in Western world. There is a gap. We've taken the Western world's leadership context, and there is a gap in our own leadership context based on our experience from our background, which should actually be a plus to us. So this is the context of evidence-based leadership, relevant across board, regardless of where we are in our path. And lastly, maybe now I'll just take a question and answer because of time. What's the next slide, John? Let's see. Ah, all right. I'll just take questions now because of time. I'll be able to look into this. This is for entrepreneurs or people that are your professional, but you still got your business, or people that are actually running their business. This is actually how you can leverage evidence-based leadership. You can screenshot or yeah, you can talk about that. Has anyone got any question? Over to you, John. And thanks for your time for
Thank
listening.
you. Oh, thank you very much, Daniel. That was a brilliant presentation. I just taking down some notes really to catch up on a few things here. And if you have any questions, feel free to put on the chat. Let's see. I think the question. If you please put your question in the chat, or you want to ask a question, please feel free to do that. You could raise up your hand and ask a question. So let's see. Um,
And even maybe not a question, even if you
It says,
grab from an
okay,
email.
there's some comments there. It says, this Femi says, leading by example and experience, expected outcome. Leading by example and experience, expected outcome, focus rather than digits or academic analysis. Not sure that I understand that question though, but okay, what do
I
you mean by
think this
sponsorship?
was
That's there.
I think that was the response to the first question I was asking
First
about.
person, right? Okay. Olawale says there must be someone at the top level who is ready to stand up for you behind closed doors. With comment, sponsorship there for
I
me.
have a question.
Right. Any questions is coming through?
Yes, I have
Okay.
a question.
Okay, yeah, please.
The question is to Daniel, Dr. Daniel.
Yeah.
How is it possible for your mentor to be your sponsor, or do you need to ask your mentor to be your sponsor? Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jay, for your question. Uh, Absolutely. It's possible that your mentor is also your sponsor. And but that doesn't rule out the need for you to be explicit in that regard, in actually asking your mentor that, okay, you know what, can you actually be my sponsor? But one thing you need to consider is that is the mentor you've chosen, or the mentor your mentor at the moment, do they sit in that qualification to be your sponsor? Do they have the leverage to be your sponsor? Okay. Usually, sponsors are found within the organization you're working in. Usually, the only distinct exception is when you have a sponsor outside of your organization, it will be that that sponsor works in your industry and they have evident links to other organizations where they can actually pitch you forth to other organizations should you wish to go to that organization. Or but to answer your question, yes, your mentor can also be your sponsor, but it must be that that mentor is in position or qualifies to be your sponsor in that regard, which might be in your organization. And do not assume that your mentor would automatically be your sponsor. It's good that you actually have that conversation with them after you've actually shown good stewardship in mentorship with them. Thank you.
Thank you. This is rather a contribution, Dr. Daniel,
Thank
and
you.
I think people should also take this on board. I like the analogy of the fact that you said people, instead of them to look back and they say they pray against something. Let me amuse you. I recall when I was in secondary school, a very, very long time ago, over 30 years or something or more. I remember very well our school principal on the assembly ground one day, he said, "Why are you guys yelling? Why are you making noise? All you guys that your father and your mothers are not living together. You know, everybody, they were laughing and all of that. And then that was on the assembly ground. So when we got to the class, and then honestly, I revert back and I saw that actually this man was right.
Mm.
More than 90% of us is a boys only school. Majority of us, our parents are not living together. It's either we are brought up by our mother, you are raised by a single parent. And I'm talking, I was in class 1 or class 2 at that time, but of course, my brain is very sharp. I think back and forth based on my background, based on where I'm coming from. And then I began to think about that. What I'm telling you is over 40 years, actually, but that thing is still with me. When anybody says something, I take the positive side of it, even no matter how dark it is. I go to also think about it. In my previous place of work, John knows this very well. Somebody had confronted me and said, "Who made you a senior manager here?" Of course, I'm the only Black person in the entire organization. And what the guy was saying was actually correct. He said, "My meetings are too long and things that we can discuss, I always like to have formal meeting."
Mm.
It challenged me openly. And honestly, I didn't utter any word. You know what? I went back and I reflect on it and I saw that it's actually correct. I mean, things that you can put in the Teams channel. Why do you want to have a meeting? You can put in an Excel sheet and send the link to everybody. Ruminate on it and let's discuss it. And within 3-5 minutes, we are done, right? Rather than, you having to say that, oh, we are having a catch-up of 30 minutes. Whereas you could have sent the link, to people, review and let's discuss. Within 3-4 minutes, everybody discuss and what's your take, and we go away. Now, somebody can benefit from this. When you hear something nasty like that, please don't say, oh, I bind, I lose, or I go to pray that God should remove or replace that person. No. Think deep, all right? And then you proactively now position yourself. That's number 1. And then number 2, you talk about quick win. Majority of us don't do that. I left the bank as a senior vice president in Nigeria before I got there. And of course, anywhere I get to, people see that reflection within one month or two. In fact, my director yesterday, after we had the session, and all the team, everybody said, "Oh, we want to go for a drink." Ordinarily, I would not have done that. But because of my previous experience and all the things that I've reflected on, I felt that, I didn't make social connect that much. I wasn't really speaking when it's not official. I just take my bag. Once it's 5 o'clock, I go and join the train. Off I go. Then I now discover that these guys, every Friday, they actually have drinks. And then everybody connect, unwind, and talk together and all of that, and we make friends. Because I was the only Black person, so I felt that, no, there's no need. Let me just go. So when I got to my new place of work in the last 7 months, I told myself, these are the things I'll be doing. So look at the power brokers there and then make them your friends. Connect with them, right? And then begin to navigate from there. So it was during the drink time yesterday that I got to know somebody who was 40 years, somebody who doesn't have a child, who is, all of that. And Anna, okay, somebody, get to know some things that are not formal, and then get to begin to, in fact, about 6 or 7 people sent me mail today to thank me for what I did yesterday. She's the one that went to tell people, oh, this is what Ola said, this is what Ola did, this is the advice he gave me, and all of that. And so all of that, I believe, has contributed. Unlike when I just take my bag by 5 o'clock, I go join train and I went off. and people are talking, I'm not there. So nobody's in the room to speak for you. But when you make all of these connections, and don't also think that your sponsors will have to be somebody who is at the ESCO level. It can just be somebody within the team that is influential. At the snap of a finger can connect some stuff and then, get things happen. So that's just what I just want to paint. People should take it that their background, their experience in Nigeria, their resilience, their toughness, and what they've passed through is an asset here. That's number one. And then number two, the way we are wired. We are wise, we are smart, we are sharp. Bring all of that to bear and then document your wins so that you can display it at every point in time. Because on Fridays, people talk, we have sales, we talk and all of that. What have you done? What are your wins? What are your reports? You don't need report. You don't need too much of a report. Just highlight one or two or three things that you feel you have done. This was where the team was before I joined. These are my impact. And today, this is where we are. People can see it. It's evident. We can prove it. And so when promotion or anything comes, you don't need to make noise because people already know. And they follow all of this trajectory. So I feel I should put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ola. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks. Any other
Right.
thoughts?
Any other question?
John can take over now.
Okay, I think there's some. And maybe says, "Hi, Dr. Daniel. You keep referring to other demographics. However, I found out that our own demographics are difficult to work with in this country, in the sector that I work in. Black in Nigeria and working in our demographics in the UK. I never saw that as a concern. But working majorly with our demographic has revealed that also why relate with friends and families about it, and the feedback is that we are here. It's shocking to know. I think
I'm trying to understand the
and maybe you want to say a few words about it.
Hi, John. Hi, everyone. Good evening.
The-
Yeah, I was trying to say that you keep making reference to working with we should making reference to our demographic in this country that we should loosen up, we should mingle with other demographics. I said in my short time here, I've realized that I've been here for 3 years or close to 3 years. I'm proud to like maybe 18 months ago, I've worked with other nationalities and all of that, both the Caucasians and all, and it's been beautiful and smooth. But when I started working with a African-centered organization, it's different kind of problem, unnecessary work. It's toxic, and it was quite strange because I worked in Nigeria for 22, 23 years. I didn't see that as a problem. Everyone you're working with is Nigerian and all of that, although that's a more formal setting, but it doesn't matter. It's the same people that are now here. And, when I relate to my friends and family, they're like, oh, Nigerians, they are terrible. And it's funny because we're the same Nigerians back at home. So when in a Western world, we're supposed to be more cordial, more friendly, be useful to each other and not fight and try to bring each other down. You're always looking for, the workplace it became so toxic that if not for COS, I would have longed because I've had over 2 decade experience and I've never seen anything like this, not even in better work environment.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying that for me, I think as long as you're cordial and you relate along, I don't see demographics as anything. You just relate to your colleagues, your friends as you come across people. Because, like you said, you don't know where you build that relationship that will develop into being your sponsor. But as in having to attract more of our demographics, I see that as a problem in the last 18 months that I've been where I am. That's what I think. So I just thought to share that. Or if you have anything to say about that, that would be nice.
Okay, thanks, Anebi. So, when I was referring to other demography, so what I mean is at times, um, just like earlier shared, at times because of difference in culture, when we get to our workplaces, we don't tend to engage with others We don't even, with other people that are not from where we are, we don't even understand their jokes. We don't engage in their banter. We don't engage in their small talks. And this is how they understand relationship building to mean. So we don't make effort to understand their ways and then be able to leverage that in our own relationship with them. And that's why I made reference to the fact that we should learn to be open-minded to people of other demography in our workspace or where we find ourselves and not limit ourselves to only people like us. Now, to talk about what you're saying that, oh, you've worked with people from our country and it seems as though what's going on here, which is different from what your experience has been back home in Nigeria. It's simply because the context is different. Allow me to use the word Ozu. So a lot of Nigerians here, just like everyone is trying to get their feet on the ground and it's like everyone is vying for resources. I'm not making excuses for that. I'm not saying what is being done is good, but back home, no one is trying to. It's our system, is where we are. It's our comfort place. Is who we are. So we're not vying for resources in that regard. But here, it's quite sad, though, to be honest, that we can have situations like that where, when it's needed to work in unison as a people, we're not doing that. And it's reflecting the data that has been shared. It reflects a lot because that unison is required for us to help ourselves. And that's why I like a platform like this, and like Minds doing the same, helping fellow Nigerians. But that's what I mean by other demography. I mean, not to be closed-minded, because a lot of opportunities will be missed if you are closed-minded in saying, "Oh, this is only the kind of people I think I can relate with." We'll lose a lot of opportunity in that regard. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I just make a comment before we go. And at this point, we Africans, or I think we're just Nigerians here anyway, we need to do better in helping ourselves. We find that I've seen cases whereby you want to work for a company, and maybe Nigerian is even in the group, and the person might not want you to even join the group. They would just want to be the only Nigerian working in that group. It might be the person had a bad experience, or the person don't just want any other person to work there. And it happens. I've seen one or two cases like that before. But in LikeMinds, we're trying to change people's mindset that we need to work together. We need to work as a group to support ourselves. There are no, there are definitely bad eggs everywhere. 12 disciples, there's always a Judas somewhere. But that should not dissuade us to do what is right and to going to help ourselves. And I know by helping others, you are also helping yourself too to grow. So, in the midst of those challenges, do not let it discourage you, maybe, wherever you're working and you're seeing kind of traits that you don't like, that is being depicted by fellow Africans or fellow Nigerians, and do not let that dissuade you. Just keep on doing what you have to do right. You can never tell who is watching, and it might just be that you will be the one that will be picked up as not like any bit different. Just keep doing what is right. That's what I will just say, and don't let what the wrong other people do affect the good deeds that you're doing. Okay. Right. On this note, I just want to say a huge thank you, Dr. Daniel. Thank you for the presentation. Do you have your contact details somewhere at the end of the slides?
At the end of the
Anything
slide, I
else?
mean, I have got stuff for as many. I mean,
Yeah.
and
So
tap me on
anyone
LinkedIn.
could, just in case they want to reach you for further consultancy, anyone wants to catch up with you, and kind of ways, you could let me know. I'm happy to give you
You always
the
get me,
details.
search for me on LinkedIn. You can see me there.
Yeah, got link as well. Reach out to you also. Daniel also like minds as well, so we're glad to have him on board. And for next sessions, we want more people in like minds to come up to suggest topics. And if you want to share something, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to schedule you to other sessions where you could come in and do the presentation. It's all part of developing your presentation skills, and also developing your leadership skills as well. So on this basis, thank you everyone for joining. Dr. Daniel, thanks once again. And we will catch up again next month as the month of June. Before then, keep safe. And yes, let's connect more in the group. Thanks everyone and have a good evening.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Good everyone. Okay,
Thank
bye-bye
you.
now.
Bye.
Bye-bye everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Mr. Share screen. All right. Have a good evening, everybody.
Bye. Have a good day. Bye, John. Thanks for what
Bye-bye
you
now.
do.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye. Ibuku, thank you. Thank you for that. Have a good day, everybody.